right, everybody, welcome back to Common Christianity. As promised, this is Kids in the Woods Part 2. As you can imagine, we were out in the woods playing around, having a good old time, just continuing the story from the first video. Hopefully you figured out 1 comes first, 2 comes second. All right, so as we're going up the creek, we're continuing on our journey up to the beach. And as we go through the creek, we get to this spot where this massive tree has fallen all the way around the creek. I don't know how big this tree was. Okay. How big was it? I don't know. It was like this big around. Okay. It was big enough. 15 kids could have walked across this thing, no problem. And that's exactly what happened. One of my kids looks at me and goes, "Hey, Dad, can I climb across the tree?" And me being the fully safety aware dad that I am, I'm like, sure, that looks like fun. Now, it hangs about 10 feet over the water, and there is just brush everywhere. We're on the root wad side, the limb side's the other side. And when we look at it, it's pulling some brush down. So this kid is going to have to go through a brush pile to get there. When you get to the other side, there's limb wood, all that. So I challenge and I say, hey, look at your goal, look all the way across. Can you make it? Do you think you can do this? Can you get to the bank on the other side? And with complete confidence, my kid looks at me and goes, yeah, I can do this. I'm like, all right, go ahead. So as my kid gets going, they start crawling out there and they get kind of that point almost of no return where they get their head into the brush, but their feet are still clear and they just start kind of working and pushing and prodding. And then that's when I get the question. I get a look back and the kid goes, will you help? I said, no, I won't. You wanted to do this. I'm going to let you do this. Now, I'm not a jerk. Okay. I looked at the situation and I said, worst case scenario right here, the kid's going to get, well, guaranteed the kid's going to get scratched up a little bit from crawling through that brush. Worst case scenario, the kid's going to fall. And I know you hear 10 feet. Let me remind you, there's a creek down there. It's full of water. Okay. So worst case scenario, my kid's going to fall, get cold, get wet, get soaked, and we've got to walk a couple hundred yards back to the truck. It was not super frigid cold. It was fine for all the safety worry warts out there. But what I did do is I came over to the bank and I sat right on the top of the bank in a spot that if my child fell, I could just slide down to the rescue and be there, pick him up out of the water like Jesus rescuing Peter, and immediately I can reach down and grab her. Okay. Now, as this kid starts pushing, prodding, the whole time I'm just like, ooh, break that branch, move that out of the way, push harder, oh, get a little lower, do this. In the back of my mind, I'm saying all these things, but I'm just letting my kid fight through this on their own. Okay. And slowly over time, by probably pure stubbornness that my kids get after their mother, the kid crawls through, gets through the brush. They get over to the edge of the creek. They go out on a limb, and just like I showed them a while back, held onto the limb, dropped their feet over, dropped down, and dropped to safety. Okay, perfect. And in that moment, my kid looked at me, smiled real big. I smiled back, and they just go, I was like, yeah, good job. I knew you could do it. See, yes, I could have helped. Yes, I could have gone down there, reassured and all this kind of stuff the whole way, but I knew they could do it. I knew this child was perfectly capable of doing it, and I wanted them to feel that satisfaction of accomplishing a hard task on their own. This child struggles a little bit with heights, gets a little bit afraid sometimes, and that's really left them defeated in a couple past situations. So this was an opportunity where I knew they could face their fear, work hard, push through, and persevere. And that's exactly what they did. So kind of similar to the last video, that, in life, we go through hard times. We have hard challenges in front of us. And a lot of times we pray for God, oh, God, help me, God, help me, God, help me. And we feel like he doesn't help us. Maybe he doesn't help you. I'm going to encourage you to take that as a sign of trust and faith in the abilities he's already given you. All right. He's going to help you when you need it, or he's right there as a safety net, ready to rescue you if it goes south. Just like I was ready to slide down and be there in seconds. God is right there ready to help you if you get in over your head. But he also wants you to learn that sometimes the best thing to do is to push through a hard time, work a little harder, and then feel that satisfaction of what you've accomplished when you get through on the other side. During this, you will probably also learn how to become a better encourager of others going through hard times, because the rest of the day, anytime a sibling was going through something, it was a, hey, you can do it. Remember how I just got over that tree? It was hard, but I did it, and you can do this too. So you're either in one of two camps. You're most likely either going through a hard time, so I encourage you to keep going. God's not abandoned you. He just trusts you to have a little bit of strength and to develop some perseverance. Or you're the kind of person that has been through some hard times and there's someone else around you struggling. So I encourage you to be an encourager. See what I did there? Lift them up, celebrate them, encourage them, and tell them to keep going. And they will celebrate with you when they get to the other side. All right? God bless. Have a good night.